Hi, my name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland, where I teach decorative painting workshops and complete commission projects for clients all around the world. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to do me a quick favor. Go down below and hit the subscribe and the like button. That way you get notified when I make a new video. And today we're going to make this beautiful Blueberry Hill color in Grasello plaster, Venetian plaster, but it's polished lime from a company called faux. So let's get our tools, let's get our materials, and let's get started. The first thing I've done to get ready for today's technique is base coated the surface using the primer. Now, because we're using Grasello, which is a lime-based polished plaster, actually here, you have to stay within, should stay within their system. I'd highly recommend staying within their system. If you don't, you're running the risk that if there's product failure on the wall, it's on you and only you. So, like I said, I'm using Grasello. This is the bucket I got here today. This is from a company called faux. Oh, it's heavy. That is a 2-liter, or it's a 2-gallon pail. But when you order the product, it's never full, so don't expect it to be filled to the top. It goes by weight, not by volume, okay? And what they did is they tinted it this great blue. See that? It's a color from Benjamin Moore called Blueberry Hill. So I always say make dry samples before you do a project to make sure you're happy with the color. This one is going in my spare bathroom. So I want to see what it's going to look like before it goes on the wall. Now, for this, we're going to use the micro primer. It is a water-based product. It's an acrylic primer. Back up. It's a quartz-based primer. Cleans up with soap and water, interior, exterior. You can tint it with pigment. I actually threw a little bit of black in it to get a gray color, to give me a nice little base to work off of. Just because, usually I work off of white, but this time I want to just give it a little hint of gray. It's not for color coverage. I just want to, it'll help affect the overall appearance, because I want this to be a dark, rich blue. So by working over a white primer, or base coat, it's going to be lighter in blue. By putting a darker, like gray color on there, it's going to give me a darker depth of color, more true to the color that I want. So Grasello is an interior-exterior primer. It is water resistant, but if you put it in a wet space, like inside of a shower or outside, make sure you seal it really well with like a lime sealer. Yeah, definitely lime seal. I wouldn't use Soap-X or even wax, because it'll deteriorate over time. So you want more of a permanent sealer. For the tools, our small pavon and our pavon spatula, high quality stainless steel. Now, I rolled the primer on using a 3/8 inch nap roller, and let's get to it. Let's start with a small amount of material. We don't need to go crazy with this. Meaning less is always more, because this stuff goes a long, long way. It goes on very, very thin. Don't need to go crazy applying it. If you put it on too thick, it's going to crack. We don't want that. So let's go from the top down, all right? I'm working over masonite. I like hard boards for my one. You got to use a hard surface or substrate to do your samples on, simply because if you put on a soft piece of styrene, true lime base won't stick. It'll peel right off when you bend that material, because it gets very hard, very brittle. And always work wet to dry. Don't come in like this. You'll see that. See, like that line is now permanently a part of our finish. It's going to be very hard to get rid of it. See, that was a little bit of material, probably about the size of a quarter. Putting it on a paper thin, and look how far it went. Always thin coats is what we're trying to do. This is the traditional polished lime technique. And always work on one side of the blade. Don't get it all over each side or both sides, because all it does is make it harder for you to do anything. And you waste material and make a big mess. Look how dark and rich this color is. Now the other thing with these plasters is I always say dry samples, because it's not going to stay this dry or this dark. It's going to lighten up. Just do a little cleanup here and there. This has to dry 100% before we move on. So that's the next step in our finish, is to let it dry 100%. This material does not go back in the bucket. It's starting to dry out. See it on the spatula? towards the bottom. I have to look over here so I can see what you're looking at, okay? So if I clean this off, put it in here, then I'll contaminate my plaster, so let's don't do that. While you're waiting, always put your lids back on tight. I usually put like a trash bag underneath between the bucket and the lid and close it down. It gives me a different type of gasket or an additional layer and protects my material from drying out. So let's let this dry and we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, clearly the first coat is dried. Now, one of the things I didn't talk about earlier was tinting the product. I can't believe I skipped over that. When you tint this, now this I actually had tinted down at this distributor did it for me. They tinted it with their pigments. If you're going to tint it on your own, make sure you use lime compatible tints. But when you're ordering it from a company like this, they tint it for you. They'll match usually Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin Moore colors. I think Home Depot too. So you got to be careful because when you're trying to get these deep, rich colors like this in a lime-based product, if you oversaturate with one, if you don't use lime compatible pigments, it's going to fail. The color is going to just go away in time. It's going to really fade quickly. You don't want that. So yeah, I just have them do it. It's a free service, so why would you not? Actually, I think they charge a little bit more, but it's not ridiculous. It's better to have them do it. All right, second coat. This is why I make a dry sample. Look at that color now. Clearly different than when it's damp. See this? Always avoid making very distinct patterns or markings, meaning we don't want to see lines in our finish. Always start in the top corner and come across the wall very organically. I just saw a wall recently where apparently somebody clearly started in the middle of the wall and worked out, and it just looks absolutely horrific. There's a big ring in the center of the wall. And again, always wet to dry. Meaning you're starting in the wet part of the plaster and pulling out into the dry. Unless you're on your edges, then you have to work from your corner in. And what you don't want to do with like a room, don't cut it in, meaning don't take the plaster around the perimeter and then come back and do the field. That'll look terrible. That little bit of plaster went such a long way. That's 2 coats. Solid color. It's going to lighten up, but I'm going to do a third coat, which will be my burnish coat. And it'll be a truer depth of color. So we're going to let this dry 100%. Come back, third coat, burnish it, and then see where we're at. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so we're dry. And I know you're going to go, but there's some dark spots here and there. That's where I've already started to compress or to burn the plaster through the burnishing technique. When you apply it thin like that, that starts to happen as you go. So the third coat, what happens is, okay, there's a big misperception that these finishes are transparent or like semi-transparent or semi-opaque, meaning that you see all the color coming through. You don't see color coming through. This movement is created by the layers underneath of it, okay? So if let's highly exaggerate this. If the plaster is applied, some areas are high, some areas are low. These areas, when you go across to the next layer of plaster, well, basically you scrape the plaster off the top and the rest of the plaster lays in here. That's what's creating all of this. This was higher than this was higher than this, and so on. Okay, so that's what's happening. Now, the third coat. 3 coats is usually more than enough to get the depth of color and get the nice movement that you're looking for. When I hear people say they do like 10 and 15 coats of plaster, that's fine. Do your thing. It's not necessary. But let's see, third and final coat. Now again, this one's going to go on real tight. This is our burnished layer. And if you do it tight enough as you go, you'll actually start to do the burnishing as part of the process. Gather it up, put it back where you want it, get a little bit more. And you'll see it starts to get darker as we go. And I'm going to wax this because, again, it's in a bathroom, so I want to make sure that it's protected from staining. It's water resistant, but it's not stain resistant. So what that means is if you splash some water on it, it won't hurt it. You may see a water spot. If you put it in a kitchen, somebody spills grape juice or Kool-Aid or soda or even cooking grease or red wine, it's going to stain it. So always keep that in mind. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's clean our blade. Let's really clean it good because we're going to go ahead and get started with the burnishing. Wipe off the excess. I like to take a little sanding block and just hit it up, just to make sure there's no dry stuff on the edge, meaning there's no junk, residual stuff floating around that I'm not aware of. I'm going to take my trowel and put it at an angle like so. Probably, I guess that would be like, I don't know, 25, 30 degrees. Start out with a short motion to make sure everything's ready where we want it. Meaning the product is dry enough. This is a little too damp yet. Up here it looks like we're in good shape. Check it. It pulled something off the tape. Be careful. And always be careful with these trowels. These things are razor sharp. It's like sharpening a knife on a stone. The more you use it on its edge, the sharper it gets. But that's a good thing, because it helps the plaster burnish and close up better. But don't ever touch that edge because you're going to hurt yourself, and it's not going to be pretty. So you can see I'm going over it. I'm compressing it. I'm not pulling anything off. I'll show you the trowel, but there's nothing on the edge. There's stuff over here because I was lazy and didn't clean the whole blade, which I should, just to be safe. We don't want to take any chance of anything getting in there and ruining a pretty finish. Usually when I'm on a job, not usually, when I'm on a job, I will have a bucket of water handy with me and just keep scrubbing the blade off, or I'll have 2 blades handy. And my helpers usually keeping one clean while I'm continuing to work. See how it's starting to dry? There's the real color. And again, it's always going to dry about 40% lighter. Now if this is over that white base, it would be considerably lighter. That's why I put that gray base down. I could have used a blue base, but what could happen then is that you use a blue paint or a primer tinted too close to the top color. You start to lose some things. Now when you're burnishing, God, I'm catching myself doing it too. I got to be very, you don't want to go like this. Everybody goes like this. Keep that natural motion going, because if you make a mistake and go whoosh, you're going to see a hard line. And you're just going to work with the plaster. There we go. Just that little bit of time gave us what we're looking for. Let's see how she looks. Oh, lucky, lucky, lucky. Whoops, out of focus. Come on, get with it. You see it? Look at that. Oh my goodness. Again, I gotta look off to the side so I can see what you're seeing. Isn't that pretty? We're gonna let this dry 100%, come back, and we're gonna put the protective wax on top of it. I'll see you in just a little bit. All right, completely dry. This is the finished color of the plaster. All right, that's what we're looking. See the lights here, some light spots, some dark spots. It may even out a little bit more over time. To do 3 coats in that time frame is pretty fast, but this shine, there's no wax on here yet. No, it looks a little rough right there, but look at this. Isn't that pretty? God, it's going to be gorgeous on those walls. All right, so now the wax. You can leave it this way if you want. but it's going in a bathroom, so we need to protect it from water spots. So this is the Vermilux Italian the spatula wax, I'm sorry, spatula wax. Big can of it, 2.5 liters. No fancy labels, because you care about more what goes in the can than what goes on the can, alright? Get a little bit goes a long way. It looks milky, see that? It's like just regular wax. And see that tiny bit there? What the size? It's 1/2 quarter. That should be enough to do this. Should be. I've been wrong before. Now when you put the wax on, it will darken this up about 10 to 20% depending on the color. And you want 100% coverage, good coverage with the wax. Very important. You don't need to use multiple layers of wax if you do a proper job applying one coat of wax. Gather it up, let's put it back where we want it. If you put the wax on too thick, it'll dry cloudy and hazy. That's going to be an issue. Now it's heavy around where the tape is, just because the tape's so much thicker. So you put it on, leave it sit. Until it's firm or dry. You don't want this has to be pretty dry. Not like a car wax. This isn't going to get all pasty or hazy, I should say. So we're going to let this dry, come back and buff it out with a soft rag. See you in a bit. Okay, the wax is dry. Now, for the sample board, I'm going to be using this cotton waste. It's the byproduct, or the leftover from the garment industry. Color-free. It's supposed to be lint-free, but it's fine. It's perfect for this. Nothing with color. Like this shirt has black ink or dye in it. That could transfer into this and have a big mess, and we don't want that. Now, when I do the walls, I'll actually be using a car buffer. And it'll be a 3-step process with the wax, or to buff out the wax. It's a lot of work, but it's going to be totally worth it, just based on what I'm seeing already, because this is the color that I want. You know, always do the circles, that way in case the wax is swirled up or something. Okay, let's get rid of this god-awful tape. Meaning the color doesn't do us any good. When you take your tape off from a wall, always take a big blade, like a drywall knife or something, hold it on there and just lightly score the tape where it meets the plaster and pull away. Just in case something happens, you don't want it to peel up and pull off your plaster, give you an irregular line. You do too much work to have it get ruined there at the last minute. Don't get anxious to pull this stuff off either. Take your time. Okay. Ugh. Yeah, like that's effort. Let's get rid of any little dust. Now once this wax is cured, you don't have to come back and re-wax or re-polish. It's not like a car. It's not in the elements. No, oh my God, it's pretty. Are you ready to see this? Here we go. Ready? That gloss will stay. That's part of the finish, okay? So, let's see. Oh, look at that. Ah, this color's gorgeous. I know you can't see it when I put it there. It's like, I can't see anything. It's all blue. You really can't see much back here either. Just because of the deep, rich color of the blue. Oh. But look at that shine. God, I love this. This is my favorite product right now. So pretty. But there you have it. Grasello from Vermilux. There will be links down below to order the products. Anything you need is down there. If you have questions, leave them down below. I do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. That's pretty much it about this. Enjoy it for the longest time to come. If you're worried about like hanging things on it and damaging it, just take a little nail, tap, 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 take your time, do it properly. It's not going to crack, it's not going to be hard. Or it will be hard over time through the process of curing out all the outgassing. It'll actually go back to almost like to a piece of limestone. But that's it. I would ask you to do me a quick favor, and that's go down below and hit that subscribe and the like button. That way you know when I make a new video, you get alerted, so you're not just wondering, oh, when's he going to make another one? I try to make them every week for you, sometimes more than one. But again, this technique, I will take you on the project from start to finish of a bathroom. So you're going to see the whole thing, how we do it, the surface preparation, the base coats, the primer, the base coat, how to do an inside corner, outside corner, go up to the ceiling, all that crazy fun stuff, the hard stuff that you actually really want to see that I can't show you right here. But this is going to be the exact same technique in the exact bathroom, and that will be a couple different, most like, I don't know, it's going to be one big video or something else. I don't know how long you want to sit there and listen to me ramble on for. Oh, and if you have any other ideas or something you'd like to see me do, let me know. I'll make a video. All right, my name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland, where I teach decorative painting workshops and complete commission projects for clients all around the world. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.